Hello, everyone. There has been, unfortunately, a lot of glitch since yesterday, and I have managed to somehow start the live. I'll just wait for a few people to come, and then the link which I had sent for the live stream, YouTube, is somehow again malfunctioned. So I hope, how is your Sunday going? I will wait for people to join, please. So today we are going to talk about the system, building school systems. So I'm live right now. I've just sent a message. I'm streaming live right now. Please come and send a message here so that I know you all are here. Sorry for all the inconvenience you've been facing since yesterday because of me. I would say me because I kept you all waiting yesterday and some glitch happened. So just drop a hi so I know that you all are here because, yes, please just drop a hi here in the chat or comment so that I know that you are there. I can just see the one person. Yes, okay, hi. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm just waiting for people to join in so that I can start about the school building, what all systems I keep on talking about. All right. So, today I'm going to talk about basically, if you look around your school, mentally and ask yourself one question, that if there is like three key people suddenly leave your school tomorrow, will my school continue to function smoothly? If three important people leave, not survive, not somehow manage, but actually function smoothly, can that happen? If the answer is yes, then congratulations, you are in a good space. And if the answer is it will become very difficult, then you know you may not have a system driven school yet. And that is exactly what I am going to talk about today. Hi, Veena ji. Thank you so much. Please drop in your name so that I can. Okay, all right. So, because over the years, I've worked across hospitality. I keep on saying hospitality and education. So I've realized that something very important. Most institutions, they don't lack policies. Everybody has policies in their school, right? Everybody has policies in their school. But the problem is implementation, right? You agree with me? A school may have HR policy. Every school has attendance records, everything. It may have a discipline policy also. It may have academic policy also, admission policy. It may have safety policies. Everything may be beautifully documented. Everything is there. But the real question is what happens on Monday morning? Who follows it? How is it communicated? Who monitors it? What happens when somebody doesn't follow it, right? Anybody has any questions, any queries, can just drop it in chat so that I can take the questions also along with. Yeah. So people are still joining in. Okay, fine, no questions. But the real question is what happens on Monday? Good morning. So what happens on Monday? Who follows it? How is it communicated? Who monitors it? What happens when somebody doesn't follow it? Right? And how do you know whether the systems is actually working? That's where uh, we I want to just let you know, give I don't want to give you a 100-page manual which I keep on making reels also. I try to impart as much knowledge I could through reels. So I just wanted to do this a little live so that I can take question answers. Yeah, yes, any day is a mayhem. True, very true. So I want to actually help you to look at school differently. So, what do I mean when I say system? Everybody understands there is a system to everything. Okay, so let's start with something very basic. When I say school system, when I say school system, what I'm actually talking about? So, system is just not a policy, right? It tells you what should happen in the organization and how it should happen. A role definition tells you who is responsible. A tracker tells you, keep on talking about trackers. Why do we need trackers for everything? We all make, we all make timetables, schedules in the organizations. Why? Just to follow it up. So, a review mechanisms basically tells you what happens when it didn't happen, and accountability tells you who owns the outcome, right? So if I simply put policy plus process plus monitoring, responsibility, review system, and this is where many get stuck. They create policy, we create policy, josh mein aake we all say nahi nahi nahi, we will, abide by the SOP, we will abide by the policy. And then what happens, that document is made, but it is then not followed up. It dies a natural death. 10 दिन सब करते हैं, उसके बाद कोई सब जो है ना, अगर हम लोग चेक नहीं करेंगे, रिव्यू नहीं करेंगे, अगर हम देखेंगे नहीं, सो एवरीथिंग डाइज अ नेचुरल डेथ. So then we are again come back to square one. We circulate everything, everybody signs it also. We all have seen that everybody signs it also. And then the file is that goes into the cupboard or in a Google Drive, right? So that's documentation. That's not necessarily a system. Now I'll just give you an example. Let's say HR system. Okay. Imagine two teachers come to you with exactly same issue. Teacher 1, she has been with the school for 8 years, and teacher B, she has been there for 8 months. Okay. Now, but the principal responds differently because one teacher is close to the leadership, right? And the other isn't. So now think about the message that goes through the staff room. People may not say anything to your face, but they notice everything. They talk about it behind the back. And once people start feeling that rules are different for different people, you don't have an HR problem anymore. You have a culture problem, right? This is why the HR policy alone is not enough. Correct? Let me know, just say yes or right, so that I know that we are on the same page and we are agreeing to what I have said so far. Yeah, yes, yes. Thank you for confirming the same. All right. So, yes. So, we need clarity around recruitment, right? Induction, probation, attendance. I have seen in many schools, the see, branded schools, they all do it. But if you go to tier 2 or tier 3 schools, you will not even find the employee files there properly. So, first and foremost is we need to have a proper documentation of HR documentation. Now, this topic is so vast, I can keep on going on for like the leaves, the appraisals. So there are so many things I can talk about, but I'm talking right now basically about the code of conduct, right? Performance expectations, appraisals. Then there are grievances, disciplinary procedures are there, professional behavior, exit procedures. You let me know in your organization how many people actually take the exit interview of the teachers, of the senior management if they leave. Is there a protocol? Is there anything which is there in the system where you take the exit interview? So you know the reason why, if somebody is leaving, so why they are leaving. You know the reason, at least you keep a track of it. If the teachers are leaving, why they are leaving, what is the reason behind it? Does your school have a exit procedure? Let me know. Quick, let me know fast in the chat box. Does your school have that system of taking an exit interview? Keeping a track why the teacher left or why no. So this is very important. We need to have a proper system, exit procedures, but more importantly, you need to define what is the process, who is responsible, what is the timeline, what documentation is required, what happens if the expected action doesn't happen, right? For example, suppose a teacher is repeatedly, she comes late, right, without a system. The principal might verbally tell her today, next month another teacher comes late. Even even the transfer reasons will not be true reason why they wish to get transferred. Yes, yes. So now what happens, the another next month another teacher, she comes late and nothing happens. Another teacher complains. Now the principal gets irritated. Definitely she will get irritated, and suddenly the issue becomes personal. because the principal didn't say anything for the first teacher, for the second teacher, and when the third teacher came, definitely by then the principal was irritated, and she didn't, maybe something happened. But what happens when there is a system, attendance is recorded, the pattern is identified, the teacher is counseled, the concern is documented, and improvement period is given. Unless and until we will not make a policy, we will not make HR policy, how will the staff know that doing this is okay? Do's and don'ts, those have to be very clear to the staff from the day one. I have seen the schools where the teacher is recruited, she is directly given a class, which is not okay, because there has to be a induction program. She has to be accustomed to the surroundings. She should know who is who in the company, who is there, who's the teacher, who's the the support staff. She should be first accustomed to that. Like in schools we make buddy culture, right? When a small child is there, a new admission is there, we make a one student sit with him or her, with the student, for say week or 10 days, till the time the child is accustomed and is comfortable. Okay, so this is how we have to do with the teachers also. We have to first do their induction program so that she is comfortable with the new school. Then comes the HR, all the policies, like whatever is laid there, like this is your leave. They should know, the teacher should know what are their uh, entitlements. Right. Now, what happens when everything is documented and progress is reviewed? Okay. And if, yeah, I know. Yes, yes. It should happen. That's the reason, I keep on saying, unless and until we are not going to make systems, uh, nothing can be streamlined. We suddenly we get to know something from the CBSE, and we just try to implement. Okay, ये आया है नया, इसको implement कर दो. But we have to have systems. So I'll keep talking about like what exactly I mean. So the issue continues, and the next step is already defined. We all know that if this will happen, this will be the repercussion. Or if this is the problem, this is the solution. So if everybody knows the do's and don'ts, it is easy for the organization to operate. So that accountability is without micromanagement. And something very important, a good HR system protects the organization and the employee, because everyone knows what is expected, right? When everybody knows what is expected, then they definitely behave the same way. The rules are set. Now we talk about school discipline system. See, now let's move to children. Discipline is one of the most misunderstood area in schools, right? A child misbehaves, one teacher says, you go and stand outside, right? And one says, chalo, go to the principal office. Another says, I will call your parents. And then another says, okay, don't do it again. Now you ask yourself exactly what the child is learning. If the child is learning that the consequence depends on which teacher catches me. If this one catches me, she will say, okay, go outside. That is not discipline, right? This is not discipline. If we are monitoring the lateness of educators, isn't, yes, this is micromanagement, because once they know, okay, I'll come back to this also, definitely I'll come back in place, but everyone goes back. Yeah, because we are not following it up, because we are not taking, since once the teacher, a new employee is joining, and once the policies, SOPs are there in the system, they know if they will do this, this will happen. So we have to, that's what I said, during induction we have to make them give a total clear picture, and it has to be from the beginning. And even if it is not from the beginning, and if we are passing some SOP, if we are introducing, we have to make sure it is taken seriously. And if it is not done, then definitely it should have some action, so they know that if they will not do it, because this is very important. See, right now I'm talking about discipline. Now there are five teachers, they treat indiscipline in different ways. As I just said, you go to principal office, stand outside, okay, don't do it from next time. No, discipline system defines what behavior is unacceptable, what are minor offenses, what are serious offenses, who handles the first level. There has to be levels to it. And now, when does it escalate? When are parents informed? How is the incident documented? When does counseling happen? When does the principal become involved? When we have to involve the leadership? And most importantly, what is the school's philosophy? Because discipline should not simply be punishment, right? It should be correction, responsibility, and restoring it. So let's take a simple example. Suppose a student is, continuously, repeatedly uses inappropriate language. Okay. Without a system, every teacher handles it differently. Some will take it lightly, some will say, don't do it. With a system, there is a defined response. First incident, repeated incident, serious incident, parent involvement, counseling. Now, follow up and documentation. The child knows the boundary, the teacher knows the response, right? And the parent knows what to expect. And leadership isn't reinventing the, that chakkar, that wheel every time. That's what a system does. Correct? Right? Please let me know if you have some apprehensions to this. Let me know, because we all our response to every situation is different. It depends from person to person. But in an organization, we have to have a set format. If this happens, this will be the outcome. If a child is using abusive language, what steps will be taken? So that is a full framework what I have with me. So right now I just spoke about the HR system. Now I'm speaking about the discipline part. I spoke. Now comes the academic system, right? Now let's come to the heart of the school is academics. We all agree. And this is where I want every principal and academic leader, to just listen. You may have a timetable, you may have a curriculum plan, right? You may have lesson plans also. Beautiful. You may have examinations. But ask yourself, do you actually know what is happening inside the classroom? Just sitting in your office, because a lesson plan sitting in a teacher's notebook does not mean that effective teaching is happening. So what an academic system actually looks like, correct? So chalo, let's start with lesson planning. Okay, so is there any defined format in your organization? Does the teacher know what a good lesson plan looks like? Is it reviewed? And if it is reviewed, who reviews it? How frequently it is reviewed? Then comes classroom observation. Is there any observation happening in the school? Not to catch the teachers. I'm very particular about it. Class observations are not to catch the teachers. It is just to correct them. And there is always a way to correct. Not to, just intimidate them, but to understand what is actually happening. Are students engaged in the class? That's how we do the observation in class. Is the questioning happening? Are difficult sorry are the this thing different this thing what do you call different learners being addressed? Is the teacher checking understanding? Set up by the, okay, quality, yes, that's great. If it is happening, nothing like it. Is assessment being used? Is feedback being given? Then comes assessment. Are assessments merely conducted, or are the results just analyzed? Suppose class 7 mathematics has, let's say, 40 students. Okay, now 28 students perform poorly in one particular concept, right? Then what happens next? Do we simply record the marks and move forward? Or do we ask, why did this happen? Was the concept not taught properly? Did students misunderstand it? Was the assessment appropriate? Does the teacher need support? Where is the problem? Do students need remedy classes? That is the difference between conducting assessment and using a this thing assessment. And then we need academic review weekly, monthly, term wise. Who looks at student progress? Who looks at lesson completion? Who looks at learning gaps? Who follows up? Because if nobody reviews it, it is not a system. It is just an activity. We are just doing the formality, right? Somebody. The issue is always give positive feedback of you. Yeah, yes. Good. If observations are happening, it has to happen in a very positive way. It not has to be, fault finding, not to intimidate anyone. That okay, see, the teachers should not get intimidated. Okay, because it is a very normal behavior, right? Now I'll speak about the parent communication. So now parents, this is another area where schools lose enormous amount of goodwill. One teacher responds immediately, right? Another takes 3 days. One teacher calls the parent, another sends WhatsApp message, so another says please speak to the coordinator. Now there are five variations in this. Every teacher has responded in a different way, and sometimes what happens, the parents, they get three different answers from three different people. So what does the parent experience? Confusion. A proper parent communication system defines who communicates, about what, through which channel, within within what time frame it is being communicated, what can teacher resolve, what must go to the coordinator, what must go to the principal. Because if principal is going to handle everything, it is going to be very difficult for her or him to run the show. Because ultimately if she takes all the load, and once we have the systems in place, right now what I'm talking, discipline system, HR system, and then I'm talking about academic system, and then parent communication. So these are all the interconnected to each other. And it is the, as we all know, the school has four major pillars on which the organization actually runs. One is the HR. Second, the admissions. Admissions is your revenue engine, and you, if you get admissions, you get your finances correct. And if uh, then comes the academic. Academic is your reputation engine, because if your academics you're not doing good, because in nowadays, looking at the social media and the like type of connections everybody has, parents are well connected with each other. A small minor issue happening in the class reaches at home, and they are all well connected, and it is all about word to mouth, and parents basically, uh, they get the referrals, they get the admissions. If we have the nice coordination, they are the stakeholders. If we have good reputation with them, good relationships with them, yes, we definitely get more admissions. Because in today's days, if you say putting more hoardings or doing a lot of advertising marketing, that doesn't get you admissions numbers. The admissions comes only via the trust building with them, with the quality academics and the quality results. And it all can happen only if everybody is, the goal, the teachers, they are happy, and the HR issues are taken care of. So we need to understand that the parents, they are the stakeholders. So we need to know how are complaints recorded, how are they closed. Because thing is, a complaint is not closed because someone replied to the parent or ho gaya kaam. No, it is closed when the issue has been addressed and there is a record of what happened. We need to have a record like what happened. uh, Over the time we all forget कि अगर हम लोग माइंड में रखेंगे, आई थिंक इट द इशू, ओके, राइट, Okay. So, if we keep everything verbal, I think we forget. So we need to have proper documentation in order to understand that yes, this thing happened, this was the action taken, and we documented for references. Right now, I come to admissions. As I said, it's a revenue engine. So many schools, they tell me we have a counselor, we get inquiries, and we follow up. But when I ask how many inquiries came this month, so they have to, like, how many were converted, how many were lost, why they were lost, what was the reason they did not, take the admission, which source generated them, how quickly was the inquiry contacted. If it depends on the mood of the admission counselor, if she feels okay, if she receives a call say 4 o'clock in the evening, and if she says okay, I'll revert tomorrow morning, so what happens? She might forget also next morning. So there has to be a proper documentation. What happened? What happened to the parent after the school visit? Did anyone follow up? Suddenly the picture becomes less clear. A proper admission system should track the entire journey, like inquiry, contact, visit, interaction, then comes the application, assessment, then admission and fees, and then comes the joining. And you can then identify where you are losing the families actually. Why, if 100 inquiries came, why only 20 or 25 took admissions? Why not rest of them? Right? So don't simply say if it has not happened, the admissions are poor. No, admissions are not poor. Find the leak. Maybe only 60 families were contacted, maybe 30 visited, maybe the follow up wasn't done, maybe the fee communication wasn't clear. Because there is, I always keep on saying, whenever I go for an audit in a school, I don't go generally to just pick up the complaints there and, okay, because people generally, they confuse audit with just the complaints. Complaint audit is basically to find the gap in the framework. As I told you about the pillars, where is the school, that you can also make a checklist and see where the school is lacking, where are the gaps, and what needs to be filled up. If the gap is there, what rectification can be done, right? And then comes maybe, the school tour wasn't effective. The admission counselor, maybe she is not um trained enough to do the show around of the school. Are your staff trained? They generally, what I've seen in schools, if you go for admission inquiry, they will just give you a form. Ma'am, this is the fees, and these are these charges, and this is that's it. And I mean, you just, when speaking to a parent, it's a customer service basically, we all know, right? And if your parent is there, you should know, like, what is, just by the communication you'll come to know what exactly they are looking at. If they are looking for admission in our school, they are looking for academics, they are looking for sports, what exactly they are looking, and around that the pitch has to go. So that is again all training, right? So we cannot assume everything. Now I'll move on to safety, compliance, and operations, right? So that is the area where sometimes, it is all treated like a paperwork. Like, okay, it is a compliance, let's, just finish it off, let's do it. So you prepare. If there is an inspection, you prepare for everything, right? It needs to operate every day. Like, I just recently made a video reel on POXO, right? POXO awareness has to be there, child protection, emergency procedures are there, fire safety, transport safety, visitor management, medical emergencies, what to do in what case, incident reporting, staff verification, committee responsibilities. I hope your school does have the committees for different, like, so are the committees there only on papers, or is it actually working on ground? But the question again here is, it's not that we have a policy. The question is, does everybody know what to do? We all know that there is a policy. Suppose a child get injured at 11:15 in the morning. Suppose this, who will respond? Who calls the parent? Who will accompany the child? Who records the incident? Who informs the principal? Who checks the medical documentation? And who follows up afterwards? If everybody starts asking these questions at the moment of crisis, you don't have a system. Because I've seen generally when some incident happens, there are very few schools who are in control. Am I right? Please let me know in the chat box that you're still here listening to me. So a good system means people know their role. Yeah. Role that people know their role, right? Before any crisis happen. So now let's think about the invisible system. That is cash handling, fee collection, discount approvals, transport, maintenance, thank you, vendor management, asset register, document control. Many schools have these processes informally. अगर किसी से पूछो, if you ask someone कि I want to see the, like, I went to some school for audit last week, so I asked for the, can you just show me your asset register, and there was like big question mark on the face. So any inventory, then I had to ask. I said, if anybody of your senior, if they knows it. So somehow I managed, but they didn't have any inventory system control. जब कभी प्रोजेक्ट में आया था सामान तो कोई लिस्ट कहीं पे रखी होगी, बट वी डोंट हैव द इन्वेंटरी कंट्रोल सिस्टम बिकॉज in every school, in every class, there is a identification on the furniture, table, chair, which defines, okay, this chair and this table belongs to this class. So there has to be a proper inventory system. And or if you will get an answer, okay, the accountant knows it. Ab accountant is sitting in head office, or maybe accountant just they visits the school for 2 hours or 3 hours. So that's not how the systems are. Everything, if tomorrow, that's what I started our my this thing my meeting with, that tomorrow if 3 4 key people leave your school, will your school run smoothly? So that's the reason we need to have system. Even if a person leaves, principal leaves, teachers leave, coordinators leave, some key person leaves, even if the management changes, but the school is there, the system is there, and it will run because they all know what to do, when to do, how to do. And if it is not done, then what is the next step? So that's how the systems actually work. Now, but what happens if that accountant is absent? What happens when that person resigns? What happens if someone that makes an error? So what a proper mature institution, they don't really depend on memory. It depends on documented processes and controls. And that's why I always keep on saying documentation is not bureaucracy when it is designed properly. सब लोग हेडेक ले लेते हैं कि अरे अभी एक और डॉक्यूमेंट बनाना पड़ेगा, अभी इसको भी करो. But I'm not asking you to increase the paperwork. I'm asking you to do the bare minimum, just make SOPs, implement it, and that's it. So the most important question now here is, I'm going to give you a simple small exercise, right? You just take a piece of paper and write down just 5 questions. Note it down somewhere in your mobile or in paper, whatever you have access right now. 5 questions. What is expected? Who is responsible? How is it done? How do we monitor it? And what happens if doesn't happen? Right? Now apply these 5 questions to just one area in your school. Maybe say attendance, lesson planning, discipline, parent complaint, admissions, and I can almost guarantee that you will discover a gap there, because that's where system building begins, right? Not by creating 100 policies, just by identifying the gaps between the expectation and execution. Correct? So I have all the frameworks with me. I want you, if you want, in case, I can definitely, share it with you. You can, what you want me to repeat? Can you just, you're asking about these five questions, what I said? Just confirm so that I can. Acha, the five questions, what I was saying. Okay, so you have to write down five questions. What is expected? Who is responsible? How it is done? How do we monitor it? And what happens if it doesn't happen? And apply these five questions in your areas, right? Hi, Jyoti ji. So maybe you can apply all this in all the areas, whatever we discuss. So you will discover a gap there, because that's where system building begins. Okay, we can't make hundreds of policies. We have to just identify the gap, and that you can do it pretty well. I have been making, I've done audits for so many schools. I keep on visiting schools, tier one also, tier two also. And I generally, see that there is always a problem. Teachers are very good, staff is very good, they cooperate. And we have been seeing so many videos on the reels, there are so many, we hear about burnouts, everything we are hearing. But unless and until we don't have uh, policies in place, systems in place, nothing can go right actually. So, coming back to, I was talking about the framework. So, I want you to look at your school as one interconnected organization. Okay, you have governance, leadership, academics, HR and people, and student management. Okay, along with that comes the parent communication, admission, administration, and finance. Administration and finance come together. Safety, compliance, and these should not operate as separate islands, separate identities. For example, a principal cannot, improve academics if the HR system doesn't support teacher accountability. It has to be there. Admissions cannot grow if parent experience is poor. Discipline cannot improve if expectations are not consistent. Teacher performance cannot improve if classroom observation doesn't happen. How will they improve? And if none of these will sustain, if leadership doesn't review the system, reviewing is very, very important. Very important. Because it is an ecosystem, living ecosystem. That's why fixing one isolated problem often doesn't create sustainable change. Right? So, this is where I would make you know, your operations easy. Let me tell you something I have learned through my work in different institutions. The biggest problem in schools is rarely the absence of good people. There are good people, there are wonderful teachers, dedicated coordinators. I've seen them working hard, committed principals, hard working administrative staff, very cooperative. The problem is that good people are often operating inside unclear systems. You're getting my point? And when systems are unclear, good people become frustrated. Leader, they start, they start micromanaging. Teachers then start feeling controlled. They feel that, they're just being controlled. No, this is now how not how we work. Parents, they receive inconsistent experiences. And then what happens eventually? Principals become the person everyone goes for everything. That is not that is not sustainable leadership. The goal is not that the principal should keep working hard. And I've seen principals slogging for everything. So our goal is not that principal, we will make principal work harder. The goal is to build a school where the system carries the work, right? That's when that's when leadership becomes, strategic rather than reactive. So now you might be thinking, this is logical, very logical I'm talking. You might be thinking it is easy to say and difficult to implement. No, it is not like that. It is not like that. And that's the exactly work I do. Basically, that's the reason I'm so confident. My work is not to simply come into a school and, conduct a motivational training or do a, or do a audit. I work with school leadership to look at the institution as a whole, because sometimes an outside eyes can see better, because you are so accustomed to that culture, you would not see the gap there. And if somebody from outside comes, you would know where are the gaps, where are the responsibilities unclear, which policies exist but are not being implemented. You will come to know, you have a checklist, you'll come to know where is the accountability missing, where are people dependent on individual instead of system. And then we work towards creating the structure. This can include governance framework, policies, SOPs, the role clarity, KRA, KPIs, academic monitoring, HR system, parent communication. Then there is admission system, discipline framework. I have been promoting my discipline framework, and so many people have taken it from me. They have implemented it, and they have called me back. Thank you so much. There is a lot of accountability. Of late I had given academic framework, where I had introduced the dashboards, where everything is there in front of your click. On just on one click you can see, okay, this class, these many notebooks are still pending to check, this many lessons are still pending. Are we going according to the course what is planned? The 14 lessons were planned in the month of May, in the month of say August, and 14 were planned, and 7 are done. So 50% course is done. But is that, it in your mind, the teacher have, but is that there in front of you? So sitting in the principal's office, right? Okay, now my this area needs attention. That's where principal intervenes. Rest of the work teachers and coordinators does. They do it. Okay, so your is to review the mechanism, dashboards. I keep on talking about dashboards. So I have discipline, I have academic, I have admissions. So there are different dashboards to keep a control over your school operations, because there are so many hundred things. If a principal, yesterday I just completed the third round of principal interview, where I spoke about the cases. Like, it is not principal is handling so many things, and how in an interview, if somebody asks the questions related to those. So I've just posted that video yesterday on YouTube, where you can go, like, what responsibilities, how you have to. I know, you if somebody might be trying to have a new job as a principal in some, so those videos can definitely help you out, though you all are experienced. But then again, I keep on making, because it is always helpful to have a handy videos in front of you, and you can just go through it and know, because you cannot remember everything. But just before going to interview, you can just go through that, and it might help you. So I was talking about dashboard. So because I don't want people to give 100 pages ka manual de diya ki lo ji and good luck. No, I don't work like this. I understand the school's gaps. Again, I'm repeating, I understand the school gap. Where is the gap? The admissions, academics, discipline, HR, administration, where is the gap? And accordingly I make the manuals for them, and they just do their branding on that, print it, do the branding, and give it to these supervisors, like the coordinators and the management team. They all just go through it, they read it, and they know this is the book, everybody comes, read it, if this happens, this will be the action. So that's how I help the schools. The real value is in, helping the leadership so that the systems work. And I also work with the schools through leadership and staff training, because systems only work when people understand them. I give a manual to you, okay, I've made this manual, now you do it. No, I do the hand holding. I first make the manual, understanding the setup of the school. Something implemented in the tier 1 city is will not be implemented in the tier 2 or tier 3, because they might not be having the that kind of infrastructure. So I need to understand the framework, the gaps, because many schools, they don't have the HR department even. In some places only the accountant is managing the files. Okay, naam ke liye files rakhiye. So I can understand the different schools have different levels of staff. So I first understand the gaps, and then I accordingly customize the manuals and the SOPs. And then I do the hand holding for implementing it. Because it's just now that I hand over the manual and I'm done. No, I have to do the hand holding. I implement, I take a training with the, because I have at least completed 15 schools in last 1 month, where I have given them the training also. Like, I took the online training for teachers and coordinators, how they have to manage the dashboards, what they have to do. Every Friday they have to update the systems, and this is how the report goes to the principal. That's how the report goes to the management, that okay, my school right now as of today is standing here. Right now my this area needs attention. And then principal would not unnecessarily do the firefighting all the time everywhere. She exactly knows, or he exactly knows, where she has to put her energies, right? So now I think this was all I wanted to talk about systems today. But before I close this today, I want you to remember just three things, right, for today's session. One is, a policy is not a system. A policy tells you what should happen, right? And two, a system is not completed until there is ownership and monitoring. If somebody is not taking the ownership, if somebody is not taking the ownership and not reviewing it, there is no point of having that policy. And someone must know what to do, when to do, and how to do, and how it will be reviewed actually. And third is, most importantly, accountability is not micromanagement. Please understand that. When expectations, processes, review mechanisms are clear, people actually get more freedom to do their jobs well. So I would really, want, if you go back to your school tomorrow. Schooling in school as okay, that I'll take up. This is completely dedicated today to these systems. I will definitely take up these questions in my upcoming videos. I'll definitely take up. So when you go back to your school tomorrow, don't ask how many policies do we have. You don't get, okay, now after attending this session, maybe somebody might be feeling, okay, I don't have this policy. Don't get discouraged. Just ask how many of our policies are actually living inside our daily operations. That's the real question. Because the ultimate goal is not to build a school that works only when a strong principle is present. The goal is to build a school that has clarity, consistency, accountability, and continuity. A school where good people can do their best work. School where children experience consistency. School where parents trust the institution. And as I mentioned, if trust is there, only then can a parent, they are confident. If they have trust in the school, they will refer more parents. More admissions will come once that trust is there for the institutions. There are thousands and thousands of schools in your city itself, in your area itself. You must be having your competition आपका कॉमसेट होगा जिसमें और भी स्कूल्स हैं, सीबीएसई, आईसीएसई, जो भी स्कूल्स हैं, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ कंपटीशन इन एंड अराउंड. But once, why, if you will go and see one of my more video, there is a city, one city, there is A school, there is a B school. A school is doing good, B school is not doing good. They both have good infrastructure. They both have teachers. They both have everything. You will come to know what I'm saying. So there is a lot of competition. Why one school is doing good depends on what kind of systems they have, what kind of policies they have, what kind of review system they have. Policies बनाना आसान है, but उसको manage करना, उसको implement करना and review करना is very very important. And a school that grows can grow without becoming dependent on one or two individuals. That's what I keep on saying. For me, the system driven school, this is what I call. I keep on saying system driven or people driven. Your school is system driven or people driven. You'll come to know, right? So I think with this, I have come to the end of this webinar, and I have tried my best to tell you about the pillars of the school and which pillar does what and which pillar is important. Similarly, you can just sit back and think about your school, and you'll come to know where are the gaps, right? Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Have a great Sunday. Thank you for giving your time on Sunday. And sorry for yesterday, a glitch happened. I'm so sorry. Bye. Have a great day.